welcome from Horizon Weekly. Today I'm joined by the Honorable Minister Mary Ng, who is Minister for Small Business and Export Promotion, to talk about how the government is supporting small businesses while Canada is fighting COVID-19. Madam Minister, thank you for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today.
Well, it's really, really great to spend the time with you as well, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Madam Minister, unfortunately, the pandemic has affected so many businesses, and they are really struggling to stay afloat during this time. So, as you are the Minister for Small Businesses, can you tell us about how you are supporting small businesses in response to COVID-19?
Yes, absolutely. Small businesses are just so important to all of our communities, and it has been very difficult for our Canadian businesses during this time. And throughout the pandemic, we have been talking to businesses before the pandemic and certainly during the pandemic to make sure that the government is providing the right supports to help them during this time. And we essentially heard from businesses that they're going to need some help to make sure that they retain their employees. We know that when employers are able to keep their employees, even when their businesses are shut down or significantly scaled back, that they're in a much better position that, for recovery when it's safe to do so. We also heard from businesses how important it is to help with some of those operating expenses. Businesses have bills to pay every month, and during this time, we wanted to make sure that they were supported. So we introduced a $40,000 interest-free loan, where $10,000 of that is forgivable if you're able to pay it back by the end of 2022, so in 2.5 years from now. Over 500,000 businesses, so about 580,000 businesses already have received a loan under this program. So it's really helping businesses manage those costs during this time. And then it's actually helping businesses keep their costs low. So right from the get-go, we deferred GST, HST, customs duties payments. That's going to help over 3 million businesses, and and a range of other measures. Oh, I guess I should also mention commercial rent support. I heard loud and clear from businesses that one of the significant expenses that they have to pay is commercial rent. So we introduced the emergency commercial rent support, which is helping small businesses pay 75% of their rent through a program that their landlord will sign up to.
As you mentioned, the government is doing like tremendous effort to offer help, but the economy is really suffering during and probably will suffer after the pandemic is over. From your point of view, what does Canada's economy and small businesses look like after coming out of this?
Well, certainly during this time, what we're very focused on is making sure that our businesses are supported. The goal here is to save as many businesses and jobs in our country because of how important our small businesses are to the Canadian economy. We want to make sure that we have as many businesses who can be ready for that recovery and that restart when it's ready. And we're going to continue to work together. We had a strong economy going into COVID-19. We had one of the fastest job growth rates, lowest unemployment, and the supports which you're seeing in these extraordinary times are significant. And the reason they're significant is to help Canadians through COVID-19 and help our businesses weather through this difficult period.
Like, do you think these small businesses are more vulnerable compared to other businesses? What do you think about it?
Well, the reason that we wanted to make sure that businesses had the support, so whether it's the loan support or for those sole proprietors or sole proprietors or self-employed individuals who also need support getting access to the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, to which we're seeing millions of people get access to that support and that help. It's to make sure that Canadians can do what we're asking Canadians, to have done over the last, many weeks. We have been asked to do some extraordinary things by our health officials to flatten the curve in this country, and we've made progress. And we've done that together as Canadians, as all Canadians. So these measures were really important to make sure that Canadians could have the support. You don't want people to not be able to stay at home if they're worried about how to put food on their table, or if they needed a roof over their head. So making sure that Canadians are supported is absolutely job one, and making sure that Canadians stay safe is part of that job. And I think that we have done a terrific job as Team Canada. And that's taken all of us to do this. So in reopening the economy, we're going to have to be very careful. We're going to have to stay very coordinated, and we're going to have to make sure that we don't lose any of that progress that we have already made.
And we've been following you, and we know that you've been engaging with numerous communities in response to COVID-19. Can you tell us about your engagement with the Armenian community?
Yes, absolutely. I want to take this opportunity to thank the Armenian community for the extraordinary leadership. And just a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was about 3 weeks ago, I met with the Armenian community. We weren't able to do it, of course, in person as we normally do. And of course, in my own riding, as the member of parliament for Markham Thornhill, I have a very diverse community. And of course, I have extraordinary Armenian Canadians who also live in my riding. So through the Armenian Centre of Toronto and the Armenian National Committee and their board members, we had a wonderful meeting, almost very, sort of very early on, and we talked about how extraordinary a time this is, and how unprecedented it is, and how we were all coming together to make sure that Canadians, Armenian Canadians, were supported. And something that we did, which was really a first, and I really want to acknowledge the incredible work of the Armenian National Committee for doing this, and that is the commemoration. The commemoration of the Armenian genocide was done online. It's the first time we've done that, because normally we get together to remember, and we couldn't do that this year. So I want to thank the National Committee for that leadership, because it really, it really allowed us to work together, and that is an interaction. But the other thing I want to really recognize the Armenian Canadian community for is the incredible leadership. I'm very heartened to know that you've set up the ACC COVID-19 committee, and this is in response to Armenian Canadians who need support, who need to know where to get access to government help or assistance. It's to help newcomers. It's to help those who may not have the language skills. It's to help our seniors. It's to help our young people, but it's to help everyone in the community. And that is real, incredible leadership. But the other thing I also want to thank the community for your leadership is through the Armenian Relief Society. That's really extraordinary. What incredible Canadian leadership. The society has been making masks, thousands upon thousands of masks, through incredible volunteer efforts. And these masks are not only going into the community, but they're going to help long-term care facilities. They're going to help seniors. They're going to help people who need it in the community. So I want to thank the Armenian community for the leadership and for the heart. It's always the heart and the leadership, and it's always been my experience. It's been so lovely to be able to work with the leadership and indeed with everyone in the community. And during the time of COVID-19, to see the leadership, the community-oriented, and just extraordinary Canadian, a Canadian resilience that the Armenian Canadian community have displayed. So I'm sorry that that's a little long of an answer, but it's long because I want to acknowledge the contributions and the work that the Armenian Canadian community have been doing through your community leadership. It's just so important, and I want to say thank you.
Thank you, Madam Minister. Thank you for your time, and thank you for this interview. Hope all of us pass this time and talk about stuff past the pandemic, hopefully soon. Thank you so much, and all the best.
Thank you so much. Stay safe and be well to everyone in the community. Thank you so much for having me.